Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are strapping in for a pretty high-speed look at Fiat's massive strategic overhaul. We're talking 2025 right through to 2030.
Yeah, and this isn't just, launching a couple of new cars. It feels much bigger.
Exactly. It's this huge unified plan. They're trying to mix that beloved Italian nostalgia, which Fiat does so well, with really cutting-edge electrification. And there's a serious focus on global accessibility, too.
That's the perfect way to put it. Fiat's basically preparing a full-scale product offensive. They want to kind of set the standard again for cars that are genuinely accessible globally. Their CEO, Olivier Francois, seems to be betting big that a single fleet of global models can actually work across really different markets.
Which sounds ambitious. So our mission today is to dive deep into the sources. We've got YouTube breakdowns, industry reports, and really unpack how Fiat plans to pull this off. How do you unify strategy across places as different as, say, Europe, Latin America, and North Africa? And maybe the fun part, which iconic names are coming back. We're hearing things like the 127, the 850. Are they really being resurrected for the modern city?
Well, the challenge is definitely immense. We often think of Fiat in a European context. But you can't forget how incredibly successful they are in places like Latin America. And Latin America has its own strong lineup, adapted specifically for that market, trying to bring all that together under one umbrella. That's the core strategic puzzle here.
Okay, let's unpack this then. How do they actually go from those locally successful models to a unified global strategy? Isn't there a risk they'll dilute what's working so well in certain regions?
It really boils down to platform unification. That's the key. They're standardizing almost everything onto this common smart car platform that simplifies development, production, everything worldwide. But the powertrains,
Yeah.
that's where it gets adapted. For markets like Latin America, those bioethanol-compatible Firefly engines, they remain the norm. It just makes sense there. But for Europe and North Africa, the focus shifts completely. We're talking the EB2 1.2L hybrid blocks, the standard Stellantis efficient engine family, and of course, 100% electric versions.
Right. That dual approach seems pretty necessary, doesn't it? Especially during the transition, you have to respect the local fuel situation, the infrastructure, and there's a clear timeline kicking off soon. 2025 seems to be the big turning point. We're hearing about major models like the Giga Panda, which sounds like it'll be a family SUV,
Yeah, that's the expectation.
and the Fiat Fastback, which sort of adopts that Brazilian SUV coupe look, right?
Exactly, bringing that style potentially to other markets. Plus, and this is the big one for Europe, the Fiat 500 hybrid is scheduled to return in late 2025. So yeah, it's a really packed schedule. But, while the new SUVs are obviously vital for the bottom line, I have to say, the commitment to the retro stuff, that's the most emotionally resonant part of this whole plan for me.
Yeah.
This is where Fiat really connects its incredible history with where mobility is going.
I get the enthusiasm, I do, and I know those names, 127, 850, they mean a lot historically. But let's be pragmatic for a second. Doesn't the average modern car buyer just see an old, boxy picture? How does Fiat make sure this soul you're talking about actually translates into a competitive modern package, something that justifies bringing these names back now?
See, now you sound like someone who never had the joy of driving a Fiat 127. You probably just see like an old photo, right? I think it belongs in a museum, maybe.
Hey, no, I appreciate classics, but practically speaking.
No, but seriously, those names truly made the hearts of Italians race. The 850, back in the 60s, that was the family car. Simple, cheap to run, incredibly versatile. And the 127, the absolute legend from the 70s and 80s. These names, they stand for affordable style. They prove you could have both.
Duly noted. Okay, let's dive into the details then. Let's start with the 127. It's slated for 2026, you said. What's the modern take going to actually look like? How does it compete today?
Right, the 2026 Fiat 127. The goal seems to be a smart, stylish, sustainable city car, but one with real soul. The design is a very, very strong homage to the original. Think squared-off, minimalist lines, those instantly recognizable round LED headlights, and that classic boxy shape that's actually great for maximizing space in a city car. They're keeping the wheels pretty modest, too, like 15 or 16 inches, often with retro-inspired designs, keep that accessible, kind of unpretentious vibe.
So it definitely sounds like it keeps the spirit alive. And the performance, I'm guessing it matches that urban focus.
Precisely. It's all about the city. We're expecting a small 3-cylinder petrol engine option or a fully electric version. The EV, well, the estimates are around 200 to 250 kilometers of range. So definitely city-focused. And pretty modest power, maybe 70 to 100 horsepower. But crucially, the price point seems to be the main weapon here. They're aiming for extremely affordable, like maybe 15,000 to 22,000 US dollars.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, positioning it right against things like the Renault Twingo, maybe the VW Up,
Yeah.
but aiming for way more personality, more charm.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, shifting gears to the Fiat 850, also expected around 2026, this one's being described with a premium soul. That sounds like a step up market from the 127.
Oh yeah, it's a major step up. The 850 is aiming for like compact elegance. Think softer, more fluid lines compared to the 127. Full LED lights, a cleaner, minimalist grille integrating the new Fiat logo. It looks quite sophisticated in the renders. And inside is where that premium aspect really comes through. They're talking about a refined, minimal dashboard using soft-touch materials, a big 12-inch infotainment screen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto naturally, and they're even equipping it with Level 2 ADS.
Really? Level 2 on a compact like that?
Yep, advanced driver assistance, so adaptive cruise control, lane assist,
Yeah.
the kind of hands-on safety features you usually see on bigger, more expensive cars.
Interesting. And the power for this more elegant city car, what's under the hood or under the floor?
Well, there's a heavy emphasis on electric here. The main version looks set to use a 50 kilowatt battery. They're targeting up to 400 kilometers of range, which is pretty substantial for its size. Plus fast charging getting from 20 to 80% in about 30 minutes. Hybrid versions will likely be offered too for flexibility. Price-wise, it's expected to sit around the 19,002 mark. Fiat seems to be positioning it as a kind of symbol of rebirth, something that balances that emotional appeal with rational modern tech.
So the 850 clearly targets that more premium, maybe emotionally driven city car buyer.
Okay.
But if Fiat is really serious about reclaiming that people's car title globally, they have to nail the mass market segments, right? Which brings us to the more recent classics, the ones that really dominated sales charts not too long ago.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is how Fiat is also looking to modernize those more recent but still iconic models to grab serious market share. We're talking specifically about the return of the Punto and the Bravo.
Ugh, the Punto. I mean, that was the utilitarian of the people for decades in Europe, wasn't it? The 2026 version sounds like it's aiming right back at that spot, but with a huge leap in technology.
Absolutely huge. The design language is described as aggressive, youthful, thin LED matrix lights, maybe a horizontal LED strip across the front, floating roof design, trying to look very modern. But yeah, the real story is inside. A 10.25-inch digital driver display and a massive 12-inch suspended style infotainment screen running Uconnect. That's the standard Stellantis system. It'll have an AI virtual assistant and, crucially, OTA updates. Over-the-air software updates. That's becoming standard now, and they're loading it with safety tech. The clear goal is a 5-star Euro NCAP rating. You basically need that to compete seriously in Europe today.
Makes sense. And what about the power options for this new Punto? What are they offering?
A pretty smart range. Looks like it's built for volume sales. They're expected to offer a 1.0L turbo mild hybrid, probably around 110 horsepower. Then a step up to a stronger 1.4L, maybe 140 horsepower. And of course, a 100% EV version. That one's expected to have a 45 kilowatt battery, giving it up to 370 kilometers of range.
And the pricing, that's key for the Punto name.
Extremely aggressive from what we're hearing.
Yeah.
The mild hybrid could start around €18,000 and the EV version, maybe starting around 27,000. That pricing specifically undercuts major rivals like the electric Peugeot 208 and the Renault Zoe. That's a clear statement of intent.
Wow, okay. That definitely makes it a serious contender. And the Bravo, the compact hatchback from the 90s, where does that fit into this revamped lineup?
The Bravo seems focused on the elegance and concretezza. That translates roughly to like substance and solid quality. It's designed as a versatile compact, a bit more space than the Punto, aimed at families or maybe professionals. Engine-wise, reports suggest a 1.5L mild hybrid initially, offering around 150 horsepower. Price-wise, it's targeting a starting point around 24,000 euros. So it's aimed squarely at the heart of the compact segment, competing with cars like the standard VW Golf, but probably aiming to offer a bit more Italian style and maybe better value. It's a pragmatic move back into a very important, profitable segment.
Okay, so they're covering the city cars, the popular compacts. But this plan shows Fiat is thinking even bigger. Here's where it gets really interesting. They aren't stopping there. They're seriously going after the SUV segment, too.
Yes. The Fiat 300X. This seems to be the big one, expected in 2026 as well. This is Fiat's definitive move into what you might call the sub-premium SUV world. And this isn't just a small crossover like the 500X or 600. The design language suggests something Much more imposing, more sculpted. Matrix LED lights again. Contrast black roof options, big wheels up to 20 inches. It looks substantial.
And the interior specs you mentioned earlier, they really sound like Fiat is trying to stretch the brand perception almost into luxury territory.
They absolutely are. It's quite a departure. They're focusing on those premium cues, ventilated leather seats, talk of sustainable materials, and this massive dual display setup, maybe two 15-inch screens.
Two 15-inch screens and ventilated seats in a Fiat.
I know. It's genuinely surprising, isn't it? Especially coming from the brand that gave us the famously Spartan original Panda 4x4.
Yeah.
It just shows how much they're pushing the boundaries with this model. It's also said to offer level 2 semi-autonomous driving capabilities as standard or at least widely available.
Okay, this sounds like a serious piece of kit. What do they have lined up to actually power this bigger, more luxurious SUV?
A very diverse range, clearly designed to compete internationally. There's talk of a 1.5 turbo hybrid, maybe around 180 horsepower, then a plug-in hybrid version, delivering something like 220 horsepower, and crucially a decent electric-only range, maybe 70 kilometers. And naturally, a 100% EV version. This could have a larger 75 kilowatt-hour battery, offering around 400 kilometers of range. And importantly for an SUV, potential all-wheel drive options, at least on the higher trims.
And the pricing reflects this ambition, I assume.
Definitely. The plug-in hybrid is rumored to start around €38,000. That puts it directly in competition with some major players, the VW Tiguan, Hyundai Tucson, Toyota RAV4. It's a bold move.
So looking at the full timeline again, running through to 2030, it's relentless. We've got the Gigapanda, Fastback, 500 Hybrid, 300X, all landing by 2026. What happens after that initial big wave?
Well, the focus seems to shift a bit towards optimization and maybe some more niche innovation. In 2027, we're expecting an advanced electric 500, probably with new battery tech for better range or efficiency. And there's this intriguing mention of an innovative solution vehicle. Some sources suggest it could be like an original style pickup truck, but one designed to transform into a small camper van.
A pickup that turns into a camper.
Yeah, I mean, how Fiat is that? Peak Italian charm and ingenuity right there, if it happens.
Okay, that is pretty cool. And the commitment to their absolute core icons, the 500 and Panda, that remains strong through the decade.
It seems so. While 2028 and 2029 might see updates or restyling for some of the newer models like the 600 and the Grande Panda, by 2030, Fiat has actually confirmed production of the next generations of the Fiat 500 and the Fiat Panda. And importantly, they've confirmed they'll be built right there in Italy at the Mirafiori and Pomigliano d'Arco plants. So securing that Italian production base is clearly part of the plan too. But look, this whole schedule is incredibly dynamic. The biggest risk really is managing all this change. They need to maintain the success they currently have, especially in places like Latin America, while launching this ambitious, harmonized global strategy. It's a huge balancing act.
So what does this all mean when you boil it down?
So what does this all mean? Well, the key takeaway for me is that Fiat is placing some massive bets here. They're betting on this fusion of nostalgia and pre-advanced technology. We're seeing that retro charm clearly in the plans for the 127 and A50. We're seeing huge technological leaps in cars like the new Punto and especially the 300X. There's a serious commitment to electrification right across the board. And all the while, they seem determined to keep pricing competitive, sometimes even really aggressive, particularly in those crucial compact segments. This is probably Fiat's most comprehensive blueprint for a rebirth in decades. It's fascinating to watch unfold.
Which leads us perfectly to our provocative thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. Fiat is clearly banking heavily on that unique Italian style, that emotional connection, the kind of inherent soul we talked about with the 127 and 850 concepts to really stand out from, say, the clinically precise German rivals or those hyper-efficient Japanese hybrids. The big question is, can that unique charm, that personality, be successfully scaled up? Can it be translated effectively to compete in the much tougher, data-driven, sub-premium global SUV market with a vehicle like the 300X? Is soul enough in that segment?
Yeah, that is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? That's probably what keeps CEO Francois up at night. Making that leap from, cult city car charm to mass market near premium appeal. That's a massive jump for any heritage brand. They absolutely have to nail the execution. Anyway, thank you for letting me wax nostalgia about the old Fiats and dive into their future with you today. It's been fun.
Anytime. Always great to get your insights. And that's all the time we have for this deep dive into Fiat's future strategy. If you enjoyed this analysis, found it useful, please do follow the channel. That way you won't miss our future explorations into the auto world and beyond. Drive safely, and we'll catch you on the next dive.